Good evening. I am Barbara Amstutz, a member of the League of Women Voters of Central Delaware County. And on behalf of our voter services team, I would like to welcome you to our virtual candidate forum for Chester City Council. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan grassroots political organization, neither supports nor opposes candidates or political parties at any level of government. The mission of the League of Women Voters is to empower and educate voters through a variety of voter engagement activities, including voter registration drives, get out the vote events, sharing of the League's online voters guide, Vote 411, and candidate forums. To conduct a nonpartisan forum, we collect questions from the audience to share what is important to the voters and to provide a broad range of different topics. This gives the candidates an opportunity to be part of an issues-based discussion in a virtual environment. The voters will be asked to nominate 2 of the 4 Democratic candidates to run in the November general election. It is important to remember that the primary voters will be electing the council members because no Republicans or independent candidates are running. The May 16th primary will be the election that really counts. The candidates, William Morgan, Elizabeth Williams, Tameka Gibson, and Fred Green, a League of Women Voters moderator, timer, and technology host, will be on Zoom. But the audience will be watching the forum using YouTube live streaming. The YouTube recording will be posted on our website, www.lwvcdc.org, and on our YouTube channel. We encourage sharing these links to the recording with others. No portion of this candidate forum video may be modified for use without prior written permission of the League of Women Voters. The video must be used or linked in its entirety. We want to thank the candidates and those that registered and submitted questions prior to the event. And now I will introduce our moderator, Jodine Mayberry. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Jodine Mayberry, a member of the League of Women Voters and a retired journalist. I will be moderating the forum. Tonight, we ask you to listen and learn. All of the questions were received online via the registration form and from individuals in the community. All the questions have been submitted to the League prior to the live event and curated by the League of Women Voters to cover a variety of topics and issues without repetition. You may not hear your question asked in the same format you submitted it because we had to combine submissions on the same topics. There will be no additional questions from the audience during the candidate forum tonight. So the rules of the game are this. Each candidate will have 90 seconds for opening and closing statements. Then we will ask the same question to 3 of the 4 candidates following a rotation that we agreed upon beforehand. Each candidate will have an opportunity to answer a question first 3 times, and each candidate will have 60 seconds to answer each question. Each candidate can make use of 2 additional opportunities throughout the hour to extend their responses by another 30 seconds or to respond to a question that they were not asked. They will just raise their hands to use their 2 opportunities. On the screen, you see me and the candidates for Chester City Council. To begin, we will ask the first question in this order: William Morgan, Elizabeth Williams, Tameka Gibson, and Fred Green. Our timer, Joanne Nealon, will be providing guidance to help keep all of the candidate responses within the time frame. Thank you all for joining in this event. Please take time out to find out more about the candidates at the League's nonpartisan online voters guide, Vote 411, and remember to vote. And I just want to add, it's really this primary election is really important because the 2 of you who are selected to be the nominees in the primary election will be the winners in November, in the November election, because no Republicans or independents are running for these seats. So this is the election that you need to get out and vote for your choices of two of these four people. Okay, so William, we'll start with you for your opening statement.
Sure, and good evening, everyone, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for allowing myself and all the candidates of this platform to be able to speak and allow the voters listening to hear us as well. I am William Morgan, a lifelong resident of the city of Chester, and all my life I've always wondered of how I can be a part of the solution to help anyone, any individual, young and or old, Black and or white. And I've been able to have that opportunity over the last 6.5 years to serve at one of the highest positions here in the city of Chester as an elected official, as the council person over the Finance and Human Resources Department for the city of Chester. All for much of my lifetime, again, I mentioned that I just want to be able to help. And as I look at myself and my position and the things that I stand for, integrity, honesty, solution-based decision-making, those are the principles that I live by, and the principles that most certainly that I have been able to really have going to work over the last 6.5 years. Some of the things that I've been a part of and been successful with over the 6.5 years has been finding ways to decrease the city of Chester's expenses and liabilities on an annual basis, which such as decreasing its healthcare costs. I've also been instrumental in certain economic development opportunities that has been happening here in the city of Chester, most notably the Philadelphia Union's Sportsplex complex that is on the horizon now. In a nutshell, what I'm speaking of is that everything that I do and serve for the city of Chester, for the residents, and for the betterment of tomorrow, to see that we have a brighter future and see that we can increase and improve of the quality of living for all of our residents and the business owners here in the city of Chester. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, William. Elizabeth, your opening statement, please. No, you're muted. Elizabeth, you're muted.
Good evening, everyone. And thank you for having this discussion with us today. I would like to tell my city the great things about Chester, Pennsylvania. Chester, Pennsylvania is the first city in Pennsylvania, the oldest city in Pennsylvania, the only city in Delaware County, and we are the fifth oldest city in the United States. And I am proud to say and let anybody know that I am from the city of Chester. I've been here all my life. I've fought for freedom here, the rights to go to school. And I just love it. I love where I live at. It's kept me and it has helped me keep my family. And I just 100% work for my city and my residents.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Tameka, your opening statement, please.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me and the other candidates here. I am Tameka Gibson, and I am running for Chester City Council because I believe that this city can be turned around. I was born and raised in the city of Chester, and at an early age, with my grandmother, I would attend marches to fight for people and advocate for people. I am here to advocate for the rights of the citizens of the city of Chester. I believe you have to not just lead, but serve the needs of the individuals that are in the city. And I am here to do just that, serve the community and bring positive solutions into a city that needs saving.
Okay, thank you. Fred?
Good evening, and thank you all so much for having me. And I look forward to this candidate forum. Many of you know me. My name is Fred Green. I'm currently the Vice President of Chester Upland School District and candidate for Chester City Council. I'm someone that has worked in this community for majority of my life. I started out, many of you know, my journey started out at the age of 11 as a community activist. Since then, I've worked for the Social Security Administration, the Department of Labor. I worked under Wilmington Mayor Dennis P. Williams and under Chester Mayor Kirkland and Linder. The work I've done in my experiences and roles that I currently hold have prepared me for this role, and I look forward to serving the city of Chester and doing what's right for our residents. We can move Chester forward, but I believe we have to do it together. And I'm someone that is going to foster relationships and build partnerships so that we all can come together and make Chester thrive again. One thing you can count on is me to be honest, open, and transparent. I believe we need to build our transparency back with our residents and restore hope in the community. And I'm here to restore hope and be the voice for the voiceless, a champion for our youth and a champion for our seniors that's going to help move this city forward. So on May 16th, I hope that you'll join me in making a difference in this community and helping Chester thrive once again. Vote Fred Green on May 16th.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. We're just going to jump right into it because Chester is in a state of extreme crisis. A $25 million a year deficit, budget deficit, state receivership, and bankruptcy. The receiver has won a court order to take over some departments, and he is threatening to disincorporate the city and dissolve city government altogether if its physical situation does not improve. How do you, as an incumbent or candidate, plan to deal with these existential problems? And the question will go first to William, and then to Elizabeth, and then to Tameka. So, go ahead.
So the way that we deal with those problems, first of all, is we have to talk and communicate amongst each other. We have to be transparent. We have to come up with great solutions, and also be able to have a community involvement within those conversations as well, to make sure that we're properly serving the residents and that they're adherent to or understand what the plans or projects that we're laying out to try to combat some of those things that unfortunately that we're dealing with right now. You talked a little bit about bankruptcy and the disincorporation, and of course those are things 100% that I am not supportive of when it comes to disincorporation. Understanding that bankruptcy is something that the city of Chester possibly needed to do as far as for a leverage standpoint, but disincorporation, that is something that we cannot allow here in the city of Chester. And in order for that not to happen again, we have to deal with the partnerships. You have to go meet with your state representatives, your federal legislators, to make sure that we have all hands on deck to remedy the problems that we have here in the city of Chester.
Okay, thank you. Elizabeth. You're muted. Elizabeth, muted.
Sorry. We have been working with the receiver. Ever since I came in, I was under Act 47, and we carried through the things that they asked us to do. The city has been in trouble for over 25 years before I even came to office. And we're constantly working and doing and asking what they have asked us to do. Under Act 47, we're doing what Act 47 is asking us to do. I don't know why they keep saying that we're not, but as a council person and working for Parks and Recreation, I have done that. I have sponsored sponsors to carry out a lot of programs that we have in the city. I do not use the city money in my department. I have saved the city money, and I will keep on saving and doing what they are asking us to do.
Thank you, Elizabeth. It's time to stop. Tameka, what is your answer to this question? You're muted too.
I got it. The bottom line is that you have to be willing to work with the receiver. It's been maybe 6 to 8 years that the current administration has had to remedy the situation, and they have not. If it was something that could be done, it would have been done, but the unwillingness to work with the receiver has caused the city to fall into the state that it's in. You need dependable leadership, full transparency, and once elected, I will fully work with the receiver and the plan that he has to move the city forward. There is no plan in place for success, and this corporation looks like something that could definitely happen. So the unwillingness has had us to kind of fall back, and we need to push and move forward. I'm going to work with those who want to do that.
Okay. All right. So the next question will go to Elizabeth first, then Tameka, then Fred. And it's kind of a follow-on question. As a council person, what specific steps would you take to put Chester City on a firmer financial footing and improve its fiscal management? I mean, this is the big question that we're all talking about, is the financial hole that you're in. So I want to know, I think everybody wants to know, what specific solutions do you have to fix this mess? Elizabeth, you first. You're muted. Elizabeth, you're muted. Okay.
We already have plans. We have plans to bring companies into the city. We just did opening with the union. We're constantly out speaking to and inviting companies into the city. And like I said, we've been doing exactly what they asked us to do. So if it's anything wrong, it's under the leadership of Act 47. And maybe they need to listen to us too. It's a two-way street. We're working. They're trying to tell you that we're not working. We are working. We're saving money. We don't even have money to spend. We're not out there spending like Act 47 tries to say we are. They're bringing in people that's getting $100,000, $200,000 pay.
Okay.
The team is getting $1 million.
Your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tameka?
Yes.
Your answer to the question about what specific financial solutions do you have in mind?
Okay, so the first thing I would do will be concerning business partnerships. They're important, but you have to include the different businesses that are in the area, and not only include them, but ask the constituents what they want, what they would like to see come in. Another area would be adequate housing, tax breaks for our seniors. There are so many different things that I would like to bring to the table, and I plan to incorporate anything that can generate wealth for the community.
Okay. Fred, your answer. You're muted. You're muted, Fred. You're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. And so my plan to help bring finances into the city, well, first we have to build up our economic development. We have to beautify our city so that way we can make the city of Chester attractive to new business owners and investors who want to come and invest in the city of Chester. We have to build up our workforce development. The bottom line is we don't have enough tax base here in the city of Chester to sustain our needs. And so we have to build up a stronger tax base. And we do that by building up our economic development and our workforce development. But not only that, we need to look at the current books that we have and make sure that each of our business owners are paying their fair share to the city of Chester, making sure that our residents are getting what they need and deserve from the current business owners that are here. And we also need to help with our first-time home buyers program and build more homeowners into the city of Chester so that we can create a better tax base.
Okay. All right, this next question will begin with Tameka, and it'll go to Fred, and then Will. And the question is, do you support or oppose the sale of the Chester Water Authority, one of the few assets the city can monetize, to help get it out of its financial hole, even if that may hurt city ratepayers?
I would have to say that I don't agree with the sale of the Chester Water Authority. I'll just use the example. If you have a house that you have and a room needs to be fixed, you don't sell the room. You find a solution to fix the room to save the whole house. And so we have to find a solution to save the city of Chester and not utilize first the Chester Water Authority. So no, I don't agree with the sale.
Okay, Fred?
So if we have $1 billion corporation such as the Chester Water Authority that the city of Chester currently owns, I believe that we need to look at that and see how that we can benefit in some way, shape, or form. The city is in desperate need of money. And if the Water Authority has money, I believe I don't believe in selling the Water Authority, but we need to look at and see how we can benefit from the Water Authority and that they can help the city of Chester in its financial distress. I believe monetization in the form of looking at the Water Authority and seeing how they can help the city of Chester in terms of financially. I know in prior years they have donated and have worked with the city of Chester and gave us about $5 million a year. If we can look at reinstating that or seeing other ways that we can look at the Water Authority and they can help us financially, but I don't believe that we should sell our number one asset in the city.
Okay, Will?
Thank you. So we should look to monetize the Water Authority, and we don't all need to just focus on the Water Authority. We also need to make sure and look into Delcora as well. When you think about the assets that you have and the worth of it, it's similar to like when you have your own home and you're trying to fix your roof or you're trying to fix other things within your home. You necessarily don't sell the home. At times, you might have to go to the bank and you have to say, hey, can I get a home equity line of credit? And you pull some of the value out of your home so you can fix up other areas within it and still be able to live in it. And that's some form similar what I think that needs to happen with those types of authorities. They're worth millions and billions of dollars. And I believe if we can come up with an agreement, sit down with them to negotiate something to have a lump sum payment to the city of Chester to help its current financial situation, but also have an ongoing annual type of contribution for the ratepayers in the city of Chester. I think that's a win-win because we're negotiating with our local authorities that also our residents support as well, and we're really able to pretty much put some of the fire out that we're having going on within the city of Chester's financial positioning. So monetization.
Okay, all right. So next question, we'll start with Fred, and we'll go to Elizabeth and, I'm sorry, Fred, William, Elizabeth. And this is the question about the Covanta trash incinerator. It's the largest incinerator in the country. It's right here in Chester, and it burns trash not only from Delaware County, but New York City, Ocean City, Maryland, and beyond, polluting the air that your residents here in Chester breathe. What can City Council do to improve the air quality and health of city residents, given the polluting industries along its waterfront?
So I know oftentimes people talk about Covanta, but it's not just Covanta. It's a number of entities on the waterfront that are putting toxic emissions into the air. And so I believe that we need to look at all of those industries, and we need to do a study and make sure that they are following all the DEP guidelines. And we also need to hold them accountable if they're not. I'm big on accountability. And so if they're not doing what they're supposed to do in terms of DEP guidelines, we need to hold them accountable. So I believe we need to do a study and make sure that they are doing what is right for our residents.
Okay. Will?
So similar to what you said towards the end of your question, Ms. Jodine, across the waterfront, we not only need to focus on Covanta, we need to focus on all of those other industries across the waterfront, specifically the Kimberly-Clark. So you also have to look at what's happening in Marcus Hook, the import and exports, and the things that we have that goes across the waterfront and across our highways and trails as well with CSX. All of those industries need to most certainly be held accountable for the toxins and pollutions that they put in the city of Chester. Some of those things we may not be able to get away from the city or take out of the city. They may be here for some time to go, for some time, a long time coming. But with what we need to do as elected officials is, again, to make sure that we hold them accountable and responsible, not just meeting the bar of what the DEP says, but trying to find ways to exceed beyond that to have a better quality of living and to make sure that they're limiting the amount of toxins that they're putting into the air in the city of Chester.
Okay. Elizabeth?
We have the EPA that monitors that, and I'm really not allowed to talk about it because it's in the courts.
Covanta's in the courts?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Something we didn't know. Okay, so the next question, let me see. The next question goes to William, Elizabeth, and Tameka. So do you support or oppose building an LNG terminal at the old Ford plant or anywhere along the Chester waterfront, and why?
I'm not very familiar with the LNG port or plan that maybe people are talking about that or has been proposed. One thing I do know is we need to find ways to bring additional workforce here in the city of Chester, and the workforce that I believe that is very fitting for our demographics here in the city of Chester. That is trades, that is industries such as financial literacy and banking, that is industries such as real estate, those types of things. And when it comes to the waterfront, as I mentioned, I sat on the economic development master plan for the waterfront, which consisted of Highland Avenue and North Street. And a part of that plan, we talked about sports and recreation. We talked about retail. We talked about restaurants and really finding ways so that people can safely travel to 291 in the waterfront and really just appreciate the great water that we have here in the city of Chester. So I believe that our waterfront, we need to find a way to bridge the gap between the Philadelphia Union and the area that they reside in on the west end of Chester and Harris Casino, where it resides on the east end of Chester.
Elizabeth? The question was, you support or oppose building an LNG terminal at the old Ford plant?
Well, I feel that the waterfront can bring us a lot of revenue, because I was watching 60 Minutes and they were talking about bringing back the old shipyards. And I'm for what they have to do to bring revenue and to make our city go and grow. Our biggest problem is that we do not have enough revenue for the city to run on. And we need to bring businesses, open up opportunities for businesses to come here to the city of Chester. And lots of cities are back using their waterfront. So we really, really, really need to look into it to up our revenue.
Okay. Right, Tameka?
I don't know enough information to give my opinion, but I would say that if the LNG pipeline is what we're talking about, I would think that it would
it would be a terminal.
Okay, so I would say that it would have to be monitored to make sure that no toxins or anything harmful comes into the community along those routes. And so, again, monitoring, finding out what methods are going to be used, and then educating the community on what's actually going to take place before they do it.
Okay. All right, now the next question. Did I start with Elizabeth the last time or William? I forget. You, okay. So the next question starts with Elizabeth. So we've had some really good news about Chester in the last year, and that gun violence and murder are way down while they're surging everywhere else. What strategies would you use to prevent gun violence and support trauma-informed care for victims and their families? This question will go to Elizabeth and then Tameka and then Fred. So
Well,
Elizabeth, go ahead.
we have worked with our police force, and we have less violence. Our police and our young people are working together to help keep them out of trouble. We had a summit with the police and our young people, and we are keeping them very, very busy and keeping them out of the streets. We have several programs here in the city of Chester that's working quite well with the police. And our children are getting more involved in education and what they want to be when they grow up, and not having to visit the police station that's going to take that opportunity away from them.
Okay. Tameka.
Gun violence is down because of community partnerships. The one thing I like to do is thank those who come out with the football programs for the kids, the Boys and Girls Clubs, Generation of Destiny, which I am a director of, after school program, keeps kids out of trouble, giving them different skill sets that they wouldn't necessarily get. So community partnerships are very important. Community involvement is very important. Once you include the community, they become a part of something that they can believe in, and that is what keeps the gun violence down, the involvement of the community.
Okay. Fred?
Okay, can you repeat the question to make sure I'm understanding?
Right. What
It was two
strategies
different-
would you use to prevent gun violence and support trauma-informed care for victims and their families?
So what I'll do is I'll continue to build on partnerships, and I'll work with local, county and state officials to help bring different agencies here in the city of Chester that will help curb some of this violence. Also, we need to work with different institutions such as Crozier, different healthcare companies that we can help bring in trauma inform people that will help our residents, people like Lisa Dennis and different organizations that help support families and victims who have been traumatized by the ongoing violence that has happened, not only locally, but nationally as well. So I believe in bringing partnerships into the city of Chester that will help our youth, that will talk to our youth, mentor our youth, and give them a better quality of life.
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of the police, one of the biggest contributors to the financial deficit is the police pension fund, which I believe it's been said that there's only enough money in the pension fund for another 8 or 9 months. So I wondered, if you have any ideas, and this will start with Tameka, Fred, and William. So do you have any ideas about how to solve the pension fund problem? And or would you be in favor of disbanding Chester's police department and replacing it with a county department, as Camden, New Jersey has done?
Well, I definitely would not disband the Chester Police Department. They have done a wonderful job in the community, and we need that source of security for the residents. The mismanagement of funds is what has us in the situation that we're in, and no accountability. We would have money in those funds if $400,000 of the money wasn't just taken away. You know, people need to be held accountable for those things, and so that the citizens can know where the money is coming from and going to. And so mismanagement is what's caused that issue, and we need to fix that.
Okay. All right. Fred?
I am 100% against disbanding the police department. I believe our police department is doing a great job in terms of bringing the violence down. Crime is down by 62% here in the city of Chester. And so that would be a no for me. However, I do think we need to provide them with more support and also figure out ways that we can improve our pension fund, figure out ways that we can create revenue that will add to the pension fund. But disbanding the police department is a 100% hard no for me. I think they've done a great job. Like I said, our city is in desperate need of a stronger tax base. So that's what we have to look at. How do we bring in more tax revenue that will support the city and also support our police fund?
Okay. And William?
Disbanding the police department does not need to be an option. Our police department they do great work, and they found ways to do more with less. So that should not be an option here. Those in the current police department did not put themselves in a position. For those that are fully not aware or unintelligent about this current situation, the city has been in this position since 1995 as an Act 47 community. And actually in somewhere around 2009 to 2012, there was some unfortunate things that happened with the pension board that changed the formula for the pensioners, and which allowed pensioners to spike their pensions via getting additional overtime, and many of other things that unfortunately has been kicked down the road and has the city where it sits today. So this isn't something that happened overnight. This isn't something that happened in 6 years. This isn't something that hasn't happened under my watch. But what I do know is that we need to make sure that those individuals are held accountable for the things that they did 10, 15, and 20 years ago. And then we also need to make sure that our ordinances are changed to be corrected moving forward in the city of Chester.
Okay. All right. This next question will start with Fred. Yeah, start with Fred, and then we'll go to William and Elizabeth. So let's talk about how you would govern if you were elected to city council. What would you do to increase the transparency and ethical practices in Chester government? How will you engage the community and involve residents in making decisions about Chester's future? Fred, did I say we would start with Fred? Okay, go.
So I am big on open and being transparent and honest with our residents. And, you know, one of the things that I will propose, I believe that we should be moving our city council meeting to evening meetings. Oftentimes, all of our meetings are at 10 a.m. in the morning. Most of our residents are at work or in school. And I believe we need to be having our meetings in the evening like other municipalities in city do. So that way we can be transparent. That's a part of being transparent. Also, we have to meet the community where they are. We have to start going to our community. Oftentimes we go to them during election time and then they don't see us no more. I believe we need to go to them all year long, providing them with information and things that's going on and that's happening in our community. And also, a lot of our residents aren't on Facebook. So we need to figure out how we can get the information to them and not just post it on Facebook. We need to be sending out, monthly or bi-monthly newsletters, updating our residents with information and events that has happened and that's coming up to happen soon.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
William. Ms. Jodine, can you please repeat the question for me, please?
Oh, sure. What would you do to increase transparency and ethical practices in Chester government, and how would you engage the community and involve residents in making decisions about Chester's future?
Sure. So transparency is very important, but at times, unfortunately, individuals put information out that might not be fully 100% accurate. So we need to find ways to really bring the community in, and as far as inside City Hall. And we also at City Hall need to also find ways to go out there and meet the community, go to their community events in each ward, in each neighborhood, make sure that we are providing them with the resources and information, not just on not just at council meeting, but via social media, but via mobile apps, via the televisions and things like that. So really getting in front of the people, staying in front of people, and staying consistent with that. So there are so many times that I truly believe that there are individuals that are providing negative or inaccurate information to our community. And unfortunately, we need to be the people who are providing the truthfulness and the honesty, the things that are really going on, and how we all can be supportive and helpful for the things that they're trying to do.
Okay. All right. And Elizabeth, I believe you also.
Hi,
Excuse me, Jodine, I think Tameka wants to use a chip.
Oh, well, okay. After Elizabeth, we'll let Tameka use her chip. Go ahead.
can I go?
Yeah, go.
Oh, okay. I'd like to say we do that. We have the our station. I'm out there I'm out there every day talking and working with my residents and making sure that they know what's happening in City Hall. Also, what I did was when COVID was in, I put an office together for my residents to come and get funding for their rent and their utilities. And I opened up my office every Wednesday, and hundreds of my residents came in and got money and for their rent and their utilities. And we talked and cried and did whatever we had to. I did. I'm gonna tell you, I did.
Okay.
Whatever I had to do to keep my citizens in their homes and in their apartments.
Okay, your time is up.
$67 million came through the city and the county.
Okay, very good. Tameka.
Yes, I'm hearing a lot about transparency and accountability, and that is not what's been going on. Most of the residents are ill-informed about anything that's going on in the city, and even if it is, they don't understand it, and so it needs to be broken down into a language that they can understand. When I talk about full accountability, no one still knew about the $400,000 that got taken, and they still don't know what happened to it. So they need to be educated about that. And then when it comes to involving and including the community, we need to do a better job at that, because as I'm walking doors, they're saying we don't hear from anybody. No one answers phones. No one cares about what we're going through, and that needs to stop.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. So the next question, we'll start with William, Elizabeth, and then Tameka. Right? Yeah. Okay. What is your vision for an effective open space plan that includes more recreational and conservation areas and parks for residents' enjoyment? What types of grant opportunities are available currently? And I would just like to add, what would you do with the Shong Park, if anything? The question is about open space grants and the Shong Park. William, you start.
So let me make sure. So is the question, what will we do with open? And it looks like I'm frozen.
Yeah, you are.
All right. So is the question, what will we do with open space grants in Deshong Park?
Yes.
Okay. So
basically talk about open space in Chester.
I mean, I'm a person that loves nature. I'm a person that I think it's important for families to get out together as a family and be able to walk a trail, to be able to look at the trees and understand about the science and the nature. So I'm very supportive of that. We've currently, and I've been a part of this as well, working on East Coast Greenways, those trails that's going to go through the city of Chester, working on the trails that has happened recently at Air Park as well, and also the trail on the Chester waterfront. As I even mentioned about the economic development plan for the waterfront, we put trails in there to talk about nature and also a bike trail along the 291 route. When it comes to Deshong Park, it has been sat long and dormant for too many years. And we as a community, along with Delaware County, who holds some stake in that land as well, need to come together and be able to really see what is the best fitting plan for that. And currently there is an RFP out for developers to come back with proposals as well.
Okay, all right, thank you. Elizabeth, and you're muted. There you go.
I'm in charge of the parks, and we have a plan. We've had a plan since 2016 that runs to 2018. I'm always on the computer looking for grants. My grants, I have come in right now. I have over $3 million in the pipeline for grants. Companies that come here, I let them know that they have to contribute to our parks, our playgrounds, and recreation. We did. I have 8 playgrounds that I have restructured, which were designed by the children that live in the area. And we work hard to keep our parks and our recreation to clean and kept up. Now, as far as the Shine Park is owned by Delaware County. They have been asked several times to put condominiums, stores in that area. And for some reason, the county keeps denying us. And
Okay, your time is up. Sorry. Tameka.
Yes, I am out in the community on an everyday basis, and I don't get any kind of government grants to do anything. The community comes together and we fund whatever's necessary for the community as far as the children's recreation. On any given Sunday, you can find us near the Deshawn Park feeding the homeless. And that would be an awesome area in Deshawn Park because that is where some of them congregate. As far as the building, the museum part on Deshawn Park, I would turn that into a senior recreation place where they can come and art can be displayed there, or family gatherings can be there. That's my favorite part. I grew up right down the street from there, and my grandmother would take us there, and we had an awesome time, and those awesome times can happen again.
Okay. All right, let's see, the next question. And this will start with Elizabeth, go to Tameka and Fred. What should City Council do to recruit businesses to Chester, and how can it help existing businesses thrive?
Well, we have our economic development, and they're constantly out recruiting different companies to come into the city. So we're open. You know, anyone that wants to put a business in Chester, they're welcome to come. Mr. Morgan is on that committee, and that's what they do.
Okay. Tameka.
I will look into the Keystone Opportunity Zone to see what kind of economic development incentives we could bring to the city that way. Currently, when businesses come in, they get a 10-year tax break. And so I would look to shorten that and also involve our seniors and be able to get some of those incentives so that their properties are not having liens and things like that placed upon them. Bringing businesses in are great, but stabilizing our seniors are of great importance as well. So I will look into the revitalizing our area through the Keystone Opportunity Zone.
And Fred.
And so, again, I would look to partnerships and look for companies to come in to the city of Chester. And again, work with people on the county and state level so that we can get and attract businesses. And so the city of Chester, we have to continue working with our law enforcement agencies and also our city to make sure that our city is beautified and that our violence is down to make the city attractive to business owners. A lot of times business owners don't want to come to a city that's riddled with violence and a city that's riddled with trash. And so we really have to make sure that we're keeping our city beautiful and we are continuing to bring the violence down. And also we have to support our local businesses and also our Black-owned businesses. I believe if we want our businesses to thrive in the city, we have to support them so that they have longevity here. And we also have to be able to give them more resources and grants or whatever they need to sustain in the city. We have a number of businesses downtown, and we need to make sure that we are supporting our downtown businesses and our business all throughout the city on a daily basis.
Okay. All right, so the next question will start with Tameka, and then go to Fred, and then William. What role should City Council play in helping Chester schools recover and help students thrive and go on to higher education?
I honestly believe that they should bring trades back. Everyone doesn't go to college. When I was growing up, we had culinary arts, we had a wood shop. Bring back some of those things to high school students. It'll give the younger people something to look forward to, and they can grasp and hold on and feel comfortable about moving forward. It's good to educate, but it's also good to bring in trades that can be beneficial to them as they become responsible adults.
Okay. Fred?
And so we have to continue to support the Chester Upland School District. I'm supporting them tomorrow. I'll be in Harrisburg, standing on the front lines, fighting for fair funding. If we want our children to be educated properly, we have to make sure that we have adequate funding to support our school district. And so I'll be standing on the front lines tomorrow in Harrisburg for Advocacy Day, making sure that Chester Upland School District can get its fair funding that our children need and deserve. Also, it's going to take a number of parents and community stakeholders to help uplift our school district. We need our parents to be more involved, come to our school board meetings and support their children in the district. We also need, more community stakeholders. I just secured a grant for our children to go to Belize. So our children will be traveling abroad, and I secured a grant from Harris Casino that is going to help them in their expenditures. And so again, we just have to rely on community partners and also our parents to help make sure that our kids get a good quality education, just like the children out in Swarthmore, out in Media, Springfield, and every other district. We have to stand up for our kids and continue to fight for the children in the Chester Upland School District.
Okay. Okay, Will.
Sure, just giving our kids the same opportunities and exposures that the other kids are seeing in other school districts. And I mean by that, by making sure, looking at the demographics of the city of Chester. I believe that our students should be being taught some of the things that is where the workforce is very much situated here in the city of Chester. So that is trades, that is financial literacy, that is sports management as well. When you talk about the Philadelphia Union, like we need to find ways to direct their education to some of those big corporations and businesses here in the city of Chester as well. And then when I also look at the opportunities that we have with the Philadelphia Union, some of the things that I've been a part of, as I mentioned, the Philadelphia Union, not only are we we'll have a sportsplex here in the city of Chester, but someone like myself who advocates for good education and advocates to make sure that our kids have the proper exposure like they have in these other more affluent neighborhoods, make sure that the Chester High School and other schools within the district will have access to the sporting complex for practices and for games and things like that, because we know that our kids like nice things as well. But those are the types of things that we need to look into and speak to the kids and speak to the parents and bring them in and make sure that their voices are being heard.
Joanna, I just wanted to ask how we're doing on time. I have a couple more questions, or we could go to the closing statements.
We've got time if we want to go longer.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you have
and,
four? Do you have 4 questions?
well, I have 2 more, but I could come up with some.
Okay, do 4.
All right. So what specific plans will you implement to increase job creation for adults and youth? And this starts with Tameka, Fred, William, I think. That's where we are. So go ahead.
So education is key. And so there are many people that may not have their high school diplomas or a GED. And so there are programs that need to be initiated for the benefit of those individuals that don't have it. I know that we have the reading literacy program, and that's great, but there needs to be other programs implemented so that people can thrive. And so I believe that if we educate our residents, that will put them in a better position to be able to take care of their families and themselves. So I just would say to educate the community as much as possible.
Okay.
And so again, when we talk about workforce development and we talk about the number of businesses that is here and have been coming into the city, we have to make sure and ensure that our Chester residents are getting these jobs. Oftentimes, businesses come in the city and our residents are not getting the fair share of jobs that they deserve. And so we really have to work closely with these business owners and these institutions that are coming into the city and make sure that they have a number of jobs set for our Chester residents and make sure that they get a job. We also need to work on partnerships with different agencies and different companies to ensure that they can provide some of our residents with not only jobs, but also job training. And we have to, again, look at trade schools and look at different trainings where we can educate and we can make sure that our children, especially our high school students, are qualified and equipped to work these jobs that will be coming to the city of Chester. And so again, let's work with partnerships to bring more jobs to the city and create more economic development and more workforce development.
Okay. And Will?
Ms. Jodine, can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. What specific plans will you implement to increase job creation for adults and youth?
Most certainly. So partnerships, working with our neighboring agencies such as EDSI, Crozier Library, those entities that will help with job training, that will help with resume building, and then also directly talking to those businesses and corporations, not just the ones that are here, but the ones that are coming in the future, so that we can get ahead of the curve, making sure that those individuals who are looking to get those job opportunities are fully trained ahead of time, and they know how to speak to these individuals, and they know exactly what they're looking for. When it comes to the youth, I've mentioned it before, but oftentimes it's unfortunate, but we have in the past have set our children up for right now success, and we need to set them up for a long-term success. So I don't like talking about jobs when we're talking about our youth. I like talking about career opportunities. So when we bring in these businesses and these corporations, we need to not be just talking about the janitorial job. We need also to be talking about the executive and the supervisor and the managerial jobs as well, because our kids deserve those type of opportunities.
Okay. All right, we got at least 2 questions about the trash service in Chester. So I'm not familiar with it. Do you have a problem with trash, and what would you do to improve it? And we'll start with Fred, go to William and Elizabeth.
So there is a major issue in the city of Chester in terms of trash. As you see, oftentimes people have used Chester as a dumping site. People come from outside of the city and they dump bulk trash all throughout our city. And so we really need to work with our community partners, and hopefully our residents will be reporting these people. And when they see people dumping trash, get their tag number, try to get a picture of them and report it to our authorities so that they can be fined and so that we can try to stop some of this dumping in the city. We also need to work with our trash company, whatever company that picks up our trash, they need to do a better job. Oftentimes they pick up the trash, half the trash fall out of the dumps, out of the trash can before it makes it to the truck, and they leave it there. They don't pick it up. And so we really need to work with the companies that are picking our trash up and hold them accountable for the trash that they're leaving in our city. And again, I will work with our residents and whoever is over top of our, department that handles the trash company, so that way we can hold our trash company accountable and make sure that they are picking up the trash like they should.
Okay. All right, William?
Ms. Jodine, is the question, what will we do to address the trash issues in Chester?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll tell you exactly what I'll do, and I'm actually working on it right now. What we need to do is one of the options, or things that we need to do, is come up with a plan and a solution to find ways to remove or reduce the amount of trash that we see on our sidewalks. And one of the things that we have in plan is to make sure that each resident has a trash can, and not just a trash can, a sizable trash can, and one with the lid as well. And we need to unify the block or the neighborhoods with those types of trash cans throughout the city. Additional to that, we need to make sure that we enforce the codes that we have on the book. There are such codes on the book, such as when you should put your trash out and when you should put your trash back. So those things in tandem with the Public Works Department that oversees the trash, and those things in tandem with the code enforcement and licensing and inspection who handles the enforcement of the code that we have on the books. Those are the types of things that we need to have stronger enforcement on and consistency with, to clean up the trash here and to better the quality of living for all of the residents and businesses as well.
Okay. Elizabeth?
When I'm out driving and riding around the city and I see the trash, I get really upset. It's mighty funny how trash from Norwood and different areas, Ridley Park, way cities that's not down here near us. So you know what I do? I go and get my gloves out the car and go in the trash and get their name, and then I don't care whose name or number I find in that trash, you're gonna get a call and I'm gonna make sure you get a fine. Cause all this trash, somebody's just dumping down here to be smart and to make Chester look bad. But they don't do it out in their neighborhood. There's no way in the world I should be open up a bag and Norwood, Glen Olin trash is down here in Chester, and Philadelphia can keep their trash too.
Okay. All right. So,
Excuse me, Jodine.
Yeah.
Tameka wants to use a chip.
oh, okay. Tameka.
Yes, I hear a lot about the plans that are supposed to be coming forward, but you had 6 to 8 years to put a plan in place. And now, because it's election season, I hear what we're planning to do, the plan has failed. We need a whole new administration to come forth to implement better plans to change the situation that Chester is in. The plans that you've already had don't work. They haven't worked. It's time to get rid of the old and put something new in place so that we can move forward properly.
Okay.
Ms. Jodine, to rebut that, do you have to raise your hand?
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
just raise my hand?
Yeah. Go ahead. You're using one of your, Tameka's used both of hers now. You're using one of yours.
Sure. So.
And I invite the rest of you to use your chips too.
Okay. So again, what I would say is that when you have uneducated or ill-informed individuals that speaking on things and don't know what they're talking about, this is what happens to our community. When you talk about an individual that has saved the city $5.5 million a year, we have the data and the financials to prove those types of things, most certainly. When you talk about an individual who has set in negotiations and helped to negotiate contracts with police, fire, Teamsters union, most certainly those are the things. But additionally, some things that we all know, you need funding to do things. Sometimes it's grant funding, and sometimes you can do that with general funds. So what did we just receive? The city of Chester just received $30+ million through the American Rescue Plan funds. And guess what? Those are funds that are going to be used for the community. We have an oversight committee with the community involved, and that's how we're going to be able to use those funds. So I apologize for those individuals who don't know or not fully aware of how the city runs and how we can be able to provide resources to our community.
Okay. All right. Does anybody else want to use a chit right now? Because, you know, we're almost to the end of the program and a couple of you haven't used them at all. Go ahead, Elizabeth. Go ahead.
We have plans. We have the plans that Act 47 gave us when we came in the door. And we've been following what they have asked us to do under Act 47. Under Act 47. Now, what I need you to do is vote 33. Thank you.
All right.
Ms. Jodine, I got a question. How many questions do you have left? If
I have one question left, and then we'll go to closing.
Thank you.
Okay. So this is a question about transportation. How do you feel about the transportation options currently available in Chester? And if they're not adequate, what would you do to increase those? Okay, we should start with Fred. I've completely lost track of who did we start with the last time? Do you remember? Anybody? Okay, we'll start with Elizabeth then.
Okay.
Okay, talk about transportation.
Transportation in Chester is the best. We have more than 30,000 people come through our city in a year's time. 3,100 come through on a week-to-week basis. So we're good. Our transportation is good. You can come to Chester and go anywhere that you want to go to. 2 hours to New York, 2 hours to Washington, D.C., on the train, on the bus, and on the plane. So Chester is #1 when it comes to traveling and going different places.
Okay.
I will give us that.
Okay. All right. Tameka, you want to talk about transportation?
I don't currently see an issue with transportation in the city of Chester. I do would like to point out the awesome program, the key program for the seniors that is so beneficial to them. They're able to get on transportation that otherwise they would have to pay for. And a lot of them can't afford to pay for transportation. So the key card program has been a plus for them. So the transportation is good in the city of Chester.
Okay. Fred?
You know, I think that they both said it best. The transportation here, you have roadway, highway, waterway, and trainway here in the city of Chester. And I think the key card program is a great program. You know, I would increase that program. They'll try to, you know, meet the seniors where they are. If we could go to the senior homes and to the senior center and make sure that every senior in the city has a key card and they have adequate transportation to get to and from where they need to get to throughout the city. So I think the transportation here is great, and I will continue to work on and keep building that relationship with SEPTA to continue the transportation in our city.
Okay. All right. Well, you guys have been great, giving us a lot of information. And so now we'll go to closing statements, and I'm going to reverse the order. I'm going to start with Fred. We'll go to Tameka, Elizabeth, and then William. So Fred, you want to give us your 90 seconds of closing? Tell us
So again, my name is Fred Green, as you all know, and one thing you can count on, I'll be open, honest, and transparent with the residents. And if you see my track record, you know that I get up every day and work hard on behalf of the residents of Chester. My plan is to try to make the city of Chester residents have a better quality of life. And I want to do that by creating recreational opportunities, more senior services, and working with partnerships to increase our economic development and our workforce development. But I cannot do it alone. I need your help, and I believe we can move this city forward together. So on May 16th, I'm asking for your support and your vote. Vote for a candidate that you know is dedicated. I've been working hard and on the front lines of this community since the age of 11. I'm 30. I'm almost 20 years in. So that shows you I'm dedicated, I'm committed, and I'm passionate about my community. And I hope that you'll join me in this quest to make the city of Chester better. So, and again, I'm willing, I'm ready, and I'm qualified to be your next councilman. So on May 16th, vote Fred Green for city council.
Tameka?
Yes. So see, here's the thing. Open, honest, and transparent is what I am, is who I am. The issues that Chester has been faced with is due to dysfunctional leadership. I'm fully functional, mind, spirit, and body. I'm engaging with each and every one of the constituents of the city of Chester, and I have been. Not just now, but before the pandemic and even before that. If Chester wants new leadership, if they want to go in a new direction, you have to start over with something new and fresh. And I'm new and fresh, full of ideas, willing to engage with the residents of the city of Chester to move forward to so much better. No more games, no more lies, nothing else hitting. Full honesty and transparency. You can count on me to tell you the truth at all times with nothing held. So on May 16th, I'm asking for your support if you want to see the city strive the way that it used to be. It can happen again, but it's going to have to include you. So will you stand with me, march with me to a better Chester? Thank you in advance for your support. I am Tameka Gibson, and I approve this message.
Okay, Elizabeth.
To say good evening and thank the women's voters. I have done as much as I can and will keep on doing for the city of Chester. I helped bring in $67 million for the city and the county for my residents to stay in their homes. I'm about the need. You need a place to live. You need something to eat, and the baby need diapers. And I'm here to do that for my citizens in the city of Chester and will always love my city. Thank you and good evening. Don't forget to pull 33.
William.
So when you get somebody like me, you get somebody that's honest, transparent, straightforward, and that's willing to fight for you. Not someone that's going to hear something and then say it in a meeting like the KOZs, which have been expired for years. Not someone who hasn't been here and hasn't lived here for many of years and just has moved back here and think that they can do better. No, the city is in a great place. The city is in an upward bounding and upward moving place. And it's because of the great work that someone like myself has been doing, speaking with our business owners that look like us and that's from this community and want to build within this community, speaking to our youth that want to be a part of this community, want to live in this community, and want to do things like recreation and trades in this community, and speaking with our seniors who also have come to me to say, hey, transportation is great, but the transportation center is not in the city of Chester is not open past 3 o'clock in the 3 p.m. So we need to find a way to get that open to a later time. So those are the things that has come to me, and those are the things that I'm fighting for all walks of life here in the city of Chester. As I mentioned previously, I'm 10 toes down in this city. I'm the one that's built to lead and run this city in the best capable hands and make sure that we have a strong future. And I'm not talking about a future for 5 years. I'm talking about a future for 10, 15, and 20 years down the line, so the babies could be able to grow up here, live here, and stay here. So I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to have been able to speak to you all. And again, vote Will Morgan on May 16th for the culture, for our culture, and it's the best way to lead. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I just want to thank the four candidates very much for coming out and participating in this tonight, and remind all of the viewers that the May 16th election is the election. The two people that you vote for on May 16th will be elected in the general election in November. So this is for Chester, for the people of Chester, this is the big one. And good luck to you all. I don't know, do we have, does anybody from the league want to say anything else in closing?
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you all very much, and good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night and thank you.
So where was it?
You was great. You were awesome. You were awesome. And you talk nice and slow, because all that fast talking is a bunch of fucking malarkey. You see what I'm saying? I like the way you talk real nice and slow, and you just, you know what I mean? You